crazy, go crazy, crazy, no crazy, no crazy, no crazy,
Good afternoon, Weekly Shonen. I'm very sorry it's been quite a while since the last big three, but I am here to make up for it. I don't know how exactly, but yeah, we'll be talking about the two chapters that got released this week, One Piece 1066, Jujutsu Kaisen 204. I'm going to start off with One Piece 1066 just because I have a lot more to say about it. Jujutsu Kaisen is going to be like a minute-long review because I don't know. There's not just much to say about everything that's going on right now. There's some more to speculate, but again, not much. So yeah, let's get right into it. First things first, just take what I say here with a huge grain of salt, because I'm the type of dude who didn't realize Vegapunk's tongue was out the whole chapter on my first read through. I thought it was just the last panel. So I heard that the community had some issues with this chapter in terms of how it retconned some stuff in the original Ohara flashback. So I went to reread that flashback and I had a couple of questions going into it, mainly being, why didn't Oda just use Robin's mother or even her father as a vehicle to carry on Ohara's will? Or even Dr. Clover, right? He's a guy who sailed the seas when he was younger. He could have just had some contingency plans. He was already cool with Vegapunk. He could have just left some stuff with Vegapunk, some documents that proved this stuff in case he died, right? Like, why do we have to keep showing the incompetency of the world government? Why does Saul need to be alive to do this if we can have these two characters who can just easily, accomplish the same thing? So like I said, in order to answer these questions, I had to go back and reread the Ohara flashback myself. What I assumed going into it was that the reason that the Marines didn't check the tree or the library again is because they had to leave before the Buster Call. And maybe these scholars threw these books inside of a lake where they couldn't be seen. I mean, even Odin's journal was thrown out of a window and discovered by the right person, right? So yeah, that was my headcanon or my solution to this idea going into it. Maybe the Marines were just in such a rush that they didn't see this, pile of books, and I was very wrong. Like I said, the incompetency just gets really frustrating as these chapters go on and we get these reveals as to, all the things that have slipped underneath the Marines' radar. It would just make so much more sense if there were more Marines who found this ancient history thing interesting and decided to sabotage this Buster Call in some smaller ways. Like, you're telling me the only two people to see what was going on here and act against it were two of the three vice admirals sent to the island? That's just really weird to me. I don't want to act like it's all bad. I mean, Robin does throw some necessary skepticism at Vegapunk here, asking why he's theorizing and not just lore dumping like we expected him to. At first, it seems like it's because Vegapunk is only our source for the tech lore side of the dump. We still need to get to Elbaf for the real lore. It's a solid move on Oda's part because it gives Vegapunk some lore to give us while also saying, well, you need to get to Elbaf for the rest of it. At least that's what I thought at first. But what about Saul being alive? I mean, this move is called the time capsule, but the part where Aokiji lets Robin go does feel like she's the only one he's leaving alive. I guess it's all about how you interpret this line. I still do find it unnecessary to keep Saul alive because it's enough to have Dragon and Vegapunk be responsible for, keeping these books intact. Like, in this sense, if the point is to get to Elbaf for the rest of the lore dump, I understand, but I just think if you're gonna bring these books to Elbaf and then have Vegapunk say, nah, I actually have everything inside that library inside of my own head, it makes no sense to keep Saul alive at that point and immediately takes away the new reason to stop there. It also makes this whole beginning scene where he's theorizing and trying to confirm through Robin a little more frustrating since he knows everything at this point. The crew also has enough clout in Elbaf already to be welcome, so it's not like Saul needs to be there to guide them. But I guess we'll see where this goes soon enough. Maybe we get another lore reason to go to Elbaf, like to get some backstory on Nika and how that whole sun god thing carried out. Or maybe it's a similar situation to Rayleigh letting the crew know that he knows the true history. Like, Vegapunk will still tell them what he knows, but he'll tell them, yeah, you still have to go and draw your own conclusion, so I'm not going to tell you everything. Either way, I'm still on the edge of my seat, waiting for what he has to show them next. Maybe he'll tell us all about how he was able to transfer his brain into a new body.
Are you an android? Holy shit, you're an android. How did you even do that?
I took my brain out and put it into this body.
How?
I
don't really have much else to say about the chapter since that's basically what the whole chapter was about. Good. Got away the good with the bad. The bad might be a lot bigger depending on how, the rest of this arc is handled. But, at least on the action side of things, we'll be entertained, right? Maybe there's something that CP0 knows or that they're going to reveal to the rest of the crew that, will help this make a little more sense, right? Either way, let's quickly talk about Jujutsu Kaisen 204. I didn't realize going into it that I had missed 203. I was like, oh wow, this is such a great idea. It seems like Choso's whole gimmick here was to make Kenjaku, release his technique, his own original technique. And I was theorizing, well, maybe this is what Yuki's, in here for now, why she popped up at the end of the chapter as soon as he reveals it. And then I realized, oh wait, 203 exists I missed a chapter, and that's exactly what they were trying to do. I like how this big brother thing carries out as like a funny moment for Choso, also a cool moment for him. And it's somewhat realistic because Yuji doesn't call him brother, he still calls him Choso, but he still uses that as motivation. Even though I still think this fight is going to end with Kenjaku successfully 2v1 clutching Yuki and Choso, I think at the very least, I don't know if they'll be able to get him to expand his domain, but maybe they'll be able to reveal something or expose something with his technique that they can pass on to the crew when they arrive. Because I assume, 2 days later, right? Is that the timeline that this fight is happening 2 days after we last saw Yuji and Megumi, right? If this is happening then, maybe the crew is able to pull up before he can, merge with Tengen, or maybe. If Yuki can't directly pass on this information to the crew when they arrive, maybe Tengen is observing, right? And he is able to witness something about Kenjaku's technique that he can pass on to the crew. Now, whether this happens before he's able to merge or after, doesn't really matter to me. I guess we can see some of the influence of Tengen. We can see some of the influence with Kenjaku after he takes, the people, or he takes a host or whatever, in the same way that we saw Gojo reach out to Geto, even though Kenjaku had already taken over his body. So maybe it's something like that. Maybe it's something weird. Either way, yeah, these two are definitely going to still maybe die. They're definitely going to lose, but whether or not they die is I don't know. With this Saul shit, I don't know who is really alive or dead anymore, so everything is a huge grain of salt at this point. Since I missed the opportunity to rant about Kenjaku's motive, which is no motive at all, I guess I'll say it here, and I'll try to make a whole video about it and why I'm tired of this stuff with shonen, but yeah, I just don't like when you have this big-brained main antagonist dude in a shonen series, and then you're like, what's your motivation? And the motivation is I just want to destroy everything. Really? Come on. This is whack as fuck. But we'll see where Kenjaku's backstory leads him. Hopefully it's not a Kaido flashback lacking scenario. I assume that we'll get a lot of lore and a lot of context to his actions and to how the Jujutsu world was created in the first place. So fingers crossed for that. That's pretty much it for me though. Looking forward to both these series continuing. Even My Hero's on break, but I'm looking forward to that. I'm almost caught up with Hunter x Hunter. Almost is a long word with Hunter x Hunter because each of those chapters is like a half an hour read. But I'll start reviewing that as well. I just don't know how I'm going to place that in the format. Maybe I'll just review the early translations and save that for a Friday or Saturday installment. And that way I'll have videos pumping out, at least for this season, Friday through Tuesday. And maybe sometimes Wednesdays whenever I can get an extra thing going out. I wanted to release the One Piece film Red review today, but I figured, I've missed out on enough Big 3 reviews at this point. I'm just going to save that for Wednesday, so expect that to be done. I'm expecting that to be done tonight or tomorrow, but be out on Wednesday. So yeah, that's coming soon enough. That'll be a whole everything you missed in the movie, all the details that I was able to collect on my 2 watches of it. So we'll see what happens going forward. Either way, yeah, I'm Shonen. I hope you all have a great week. I'll see you soon. Bye.